Yes, then you should go potty now.
Nope.
You've gone.
We're all good here.
Let's clink it.
Let's
1,
clink
2,
it.
3, and clink.
Game of Thrones spoilers ahead.
Ooh, I like that. Very nice.
Oh,
Well,
that was good.
it is all over, for better or worse, for worse or for better, for the long haul and for everything.
Shawn, it's not over till it's ogre, okay? Let's not get carried away.
I mean, that was the last episode
He said
of
ogre.
Game of Thrones. I mean, technically, there's a documentary next week.
Oh, I
yeah,
did
that was
see
something
that.
I wanted to talk
I
about.
did see that, the advertisement.
So how are we going to do? Is this tonight just going to be talking about this episode, and then next week is talking about like broader the whole thing?
Yeah,
and then
actually,
the
let me
documentary.
explain then.
Okay.
Yeah, we can talk about the documentary. I don't think there'll be a lot to. I mean,
it'll probably be a shorter part, just like, hey, this is kind of cool to see.
yeah, we'll watch it for sure and then talk about it. But next week, I was thinking, and I don't know how it will work out, right? But if you kind of narrow down your thoughts about this series and the final season.
Yeah.
I know that whoever starts the conversation next week is kind of going to lead it. So like maybe you don't have to like write a thesis or anything because we might not even get to it, but you're going to want to defend yourself in whatever we talk about and that kind of thing, you know?
All right.
I mean, if you want to come up with an idea of what to say, by all means, you know, but that's kind of going to be where it goes. So be prepared.
Okay.
I want to start off by saying I apologize for my toxic behavior last episode. I have seen the light. It is toxic. It is not fair. Yet I stand by the points. You know?
That's fine. I think like everyone is fair to criticize for points and like just toxicity. Like this isn't like it's not personal. We're talking about a show here.
No. And I did want to make it clear that Shawn and I do not hate each other. Like afterwards, we were shaking hands and kind of like
we've known each other too long to hate each
Sticking
other
each
over
other's
Game of Thrones.
tongue down the throat. Never mind.
Yeah.
What?
Okay.
Am I
Yes.
not supposed to say that part?
So I am apologizing for that. I did when I was editing the thing, I heard what you were saying, and then I realized that I wasn't listening to what you were saying during the conversation. And I think part of that is just my own stubbornness when things get heated, and also when things get too late.
Yeah. Which
uh,
will be fun, seeing as how we're starting at midnight.
Oh yeah. I will say though, there's a part of me that likes the toxicity. I'll just leave it at that. There's just a part of me that's like satisfying, but I will not let that part come out anymore, or I'll try not to. So let's start with our yay or nay.
Oh no.
You already know me. I'm a nay.
All right. I came in thinking it was going to be really bad, actually, because like, how do you end a series like this long? But overall, I was pretty satisfied with it.
So you're a yay.
Yeah, and I wasn't satisfied with it for the reasons that I thought I would be. And that's, I think, why I'm satisfied by it, if that makes any kind of sense. These are kind of like my fresh thoughts. I just came from watching, like...
Yeah, we usually record on Monday nights, but today's Sunday because I have other...
external factors,
yeah.
but that's all right. I like that because our thoughts are kind of fresher.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't looked at the internet much, so like I don't have...
You're pure. Shawn.
Yeah,
Right now you're pure.
I'm pure. I watched the show with an open mind, or the episode with an open mind, and there's a few things I wasn't expecting, but overall nothing that I hated. I felt... sorry, this is kind of long-winded. You're just like simple no. I'm explaining my yes.
Oh, I'll explain myself.
Yeah, I'm sure. But I think that it felt like a ending that was true to the series and the nature of the series.
Okay. How about you, Yeston?
I'm pretty nay on this one. I'm sorry.
All right, so let's go through it point by point, or like scene by scene.
Mm-hmm.
You know, more or less, because sometimes we miss a couple, but that's okay.
Yeah.
You know? So the first thing that was kind of revealed this episode was that 2 out of 3 of us were wrong, and I forget which 2. I know I was one of those 2. It was not ash. It was definitely snow.
Was it? I didn't see anything that confirmed that. Did you?
It was cloudy and it kind of looked like snow and it was unclear.
That's why I thought like my first glimpse, I thought it might have been snow, and I think you guys said it was ash, but I didn't see anything like that.
Well, stuff landed
it
on
could have
Daenerys'
been.
face,
Uh-huh.
and I know this is skipping ahead, but stuff landed on Daenerys' face,
It didn't
and
melt.
no, I thought it did.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't
you
know.
said it was snow. Sorry.
Yeah, it seemed to me like it was snow.
Mhm.
Do you agree, Yeston?
I still thought it was inconsistent. When the dragon comes out of it, it looks like snow, but then in other scenes it looks like ash, and then later in the episode it's sunny again. So I don't know.
Well, it's
It
also
could be a bit of
exactly
both.
what's going on.
It's also interesting how it was coming out of the clouds too, because as I mean, again, skipping ahead, but as Drogon's flying away, you see a bunch of snow. Like you see it coming from the clouds, and that wouldn't happen to Ash.
Mm-hmm.
At least I don't think it would.
I think it could though. That's what happens in Avatar. That's my point of reference for everything.
Apparently.
And why is it snowing in King's Landing? That's pretty far south,
Because
especially
it's
for
winter.
But then it's
coming.
not winter later, so like I
But
don't
mean,
know.
it was still like the beginning of winter.
Okay, we'll get to that. Okay.
I don't know if it's snow or ash. I'm inconclusive
I'm
about this.
pretty sure it's snow. We can confirm it next episode. So Grey Worm is executing Lannister prisoners, and Jon is obviously not happy. I mean, there's not much to say about that.
I like the tension in that scene.
It's good.
That was.
And I expected more to come out of that tension. Like I thought maybe they were gonna fight. I mean, it was I liked it too, and it's fine the way that it played out. But I thought maybe they were gonna get a little bit physical.
Mm-hmm. What about Tyrion and his siblings? I felt that was a really, really nice scene there.
Really?
Yeah, him finding Cersei and Jaime. Their names I already forgot after one episode.
No, it was.
That's how late it is. God.
It was interesting. But did you notice that not everything was piled in bricks in that big room?
Yeah, there's like rubble and rocks and shit.
Yeah,
Mm.
but there's places where it's clear, is what I'm trying to say. I did notice that because it's like they were in just the wrong place for the bricks to have fallen on them, or just the right place for that to have happened. There was some pretty clear paths throughout that big room. Did you not?
That sounds like the biggest nitpick I've ever heard to be nitpicked of nitpick.
I do think you could argue that Cersei and Jaime could have like gone into the hallway where it was more secure, because that seems more clear.
Or the dragon skull.
But I feel like, I don't know, I feel like that's earthquake preparation skills that we have.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I just noticed it. I'm sure if you look back with that in mind, you
Yeah.
can see it. And
I'm sure, but I mean, it's rubble. Like it falls in random places. I
Sure,
mean,
and again, I'm not coming from I am nitpicking, but it's not from like a bad place. It's just what I noticed, and these are just my notes, so that's what I'm reading out loud. But yeah, you like that scene.
yeah, I really liked it, and I think in that moment, like you can kind of see him realizing that he's mourning for his family, and he's almost mourning for himself, like because of the choices that he's made, and he's kind of realized that he kind of fucked himself, and it was kind of all for naught because he placed his faith in the wrong person.
I like to think that he was mourning for Jaime more than anything, because he hasn't had the best relationship with Cersei. And I mean, it just makes more sense for me to think of him as mourning for Jaime, his big brother that's always been there for him.
But I could easily see him mourning for both of them in the same fucked up way that he wanted Cersei to live. He wanted her to escape because he doesn't want to like kill his family and his sister's unborn child. Like
He killed his dad.
I mean, yeah, but that you're not killing like a pregnant lady like that. That's a little too far. And like it's always been his weakness. If you see like until.
Did you watch that video? That what's it called? Foreshadowing is not.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, maybe it wasn't in that one. There was another video I saw where a bunch of scenes of Tyrion saying to Cersei, like, "You're gonna wish you're dead," or "You're not gonna expect it, but I will kill you," that kind of thing. And it's like, man, that's such a turnaround from what we just saw.
I'm inclined to agree with Shawn here.
Really?
Like, he's consistently saying that he doesn't want to kill Cersei. He's constantly trying to get Dany to allow her the chance to surrender. And I do think that, he probably doesn't like her, but the fact that they are family like forces him to have this bond, whether he likes it or not. So
I thought it wasn't fitting. Did you watch the end of the Mahler video?
No, not yet.
Okay, well, you have to, because it shows a bunch of scenes where Tyrion is very viciously attacking Cersei verbally.
Well, yeah, I mean, everyone like fights with their sisters, and like obviously he has reason to be vile and shout vile things at her because like she would do the same thing to him.
Well, she did send someone to kill him.
Exactly, and like they hate each other, but Tyrion has never. He's always thought that there was something better in his family, and that was his weakness.
I don't think we're gonna see eye to eye here.
Yeah,
Shawn.
I think this is what I was trying to type earlier today, but I was in the middle of driving. Sorry about that. But like it feels like sometimes we're both just looking at the same thing, and we're both seeing like completely different pictures. And like we're just not seeing the bunny rabbit from the bird or whatever that
What?
that you've seen that optical illusion, how it's either like a duck or a bird.
Yes. I think if you're going to argue points like this in detail, I think the reality is you need to be given time to collect actual evidence.
Yeah, that is
to collect
true.
every scene with Tyrion and understand the context behind that, and that gets very complicated.
Yeah,
No, I don't think so because
but-
okay, we can move on.
yeah,
'cause
but
it will go in circles.
I'm saying that I think it fits the path that he's traveled to both mourn his siblings, both of his siblings there. Even if he doesn't love Cersei in the way that like he loves Jaime, I think there's still like a hint of compassion. Otherwise he wouldn't have tried to set her free and risk his own life. And he tried to say the millions, but like he said, or like I said earlier, he placed his faith in the wrong person on that one there.
All right, that's true. And then we get to the scene where Tyrion leaves Dany.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, hold
what about
on.
her speech?
Yeah, man, we
The
got to talk
speech.
about that shot where she's walking toward the Dothraki and Drogon's wings come
that
up
was,
out
that
of her.
was awesome. That was the coolest shot.
that was cool. I liked it a lot.
I think that was my second favorite shot. We'll get to the first one later, but I'm sure it's obvious.
Okay, yeah, no, that was very cool. I don't know if anything symbolizes anything at this point because it's at the very end.
It was just cool. I mean, yeah, like she has like become an embodiment of what she was leading toward before.
Fire and blood,
and
like she's been saying the whole time.
And of course, my opinion is that that happened too quickly and it didn't feel justified. But, at this point, my interpretation of the beginning of this episode was like fairly positive because I was willing to accept that, okay, they are now in a place where she has made this turn, whether it was justified previously or not. And now they can do something with this. And then we'll get to why I don't think they did it well. But I did enjoy this scene because of that. Like, I liked the idea of her now being this mad person in control with all of this power.
No,
go ahead.
I do want to say there is a thought that I had in my head that I had to feel like older seasons of Game of Thrones. I felt like this episode would have been split into 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
But I mean, we could argue that the last 2 the entire seasons
season.
they didn't have the books. So
yeah. Okay, so now we get to Tyrion leaving Dany.
Tyrion
Yeah.
leaving. Wait, her speech.
Her speech.
That where she wants to conquer the rest of the world.
Yeah, she's gonna break the wheel by making sure that there's only her.
Why are there so many Dothraki and Unsullied there?
HBO.
Oh, that definitely ties in. I mean, like that definitely matters. I think.
I hate, and you can cut this out. I hate to bring this up. My dad and his neighbors watched the first 3 episodes yesterday because they haven't been able to watch it. And
this season.
Of this season. And at the end of the battle, he said, "Well, Daenerys can't attack Cersei now because her whole army is in shambles and her dragons are injured." And I was like, "Oh, just wait. Like it doesn't matter."
Yeah. Shawn's like he has put his shield up.
I'm just listening to the nitpicks come flying, and I'm just ignoring them.
I don't think that's a nitpick though. Like I feel like
No, I do think that is a valid thing, but I don't think it's something that really affects the story. I mean, Sure, it's an inconsistency. That is true. But when they explain things later, they do try and explain to say, hey, we still have some of our forces. This is what we have left after the battle.
Yeah. Again,
And they inform you that, and that's the issue. I think we've talked about many times.
the cinematography not matching up with the actual meta storyline.
So now Tyrion leaves Dany.
Okay.
Tyrion leaves Dany.
I didn't mean to skip. Skip ahead.
I know. You're fine.
So yeah, I just thought it was cool. I mean, he's got some balls there, and then he was just taken away. Did you guys think anything special about that scene? Anything that stood out to you?
I thought that when he was taking the hand thing off, it felt like it took a long time. Like he was kind of struggling with it. And I think it would have been in a different show if he just like couldn't get it off and he was like, oh, hold on, and then she like bends down to help him. Never mind, that was a scene that played out in my head as a possibility, but no. Sorry, go on.
I thought the where he tossed it, I thought that might have had more significance the first few seconds of it, but
where did your brain go to?
I don't know. I thought like someone was going to pick it up or something like that, but I don't know.
I thought maybe like one of the Unsullied would crush it or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Then Arya goes and talks to Jon.
What's the whole thing with Arya and the horse? And I thought she was leaving, and now she's just there again.
Yeah, I had hoped that would mean more, but it was just Bran giving her an Uber out.
I know, I know you don't like making fun of the writers, Shawn, but have you seen the meme where it's her and the horse, and then it's the writer interview subtitled with "We kind of forgot Nymeria was a wolf."
What does that have to do with anything?
Just because like the joke is that like they wanted to give her like another reunion with Nymeria, but they made her a horse instead on accident.
They already gave her.
I know, but that's just a joke. Never mind. Let's move on.
I think it would have been cool if it was Nymeria that came to rescue her from the. I would have liked that.
Better than this random horse.
That's not her.
That's not Nymeria.
Yeah, that's the
and
line.
Who is this
that's not you.
Random horse that doesn't? It's just so weird for them to pour so much into that scene. Like it feels really important. And it's like, oh, this is Arya's departure. Like she's getting out of here. But no.
There's a couple of things that don't really go anywhere, and we'll talk about them. Then after she talks to Jon, like where did Arya go afterwards?
She's a ninja archer. She can go wherever.
I mean, we don't really hear about anyone or anything until like, because we have that break after the scene with Jon and Daenerys.
Yeah. Well, we'll get there in a second, but I did want to point out that she warns to Jon that Dany will get him. Then Jon goes and visits Tyrion where he's being held captive, where the same thing happens. The same thing plays out. Tyrion warns to Jon, Dany is going to get you because you have a legitimate claim to the Iron Throne. Then we get to the scene with Jon and Dany. You can't tell that she sees him as a threat because she just wants to bone him at that point. Mm-hmm. That's what it seems like. And was she ever going to see him as a threat? Did she start to?
Jon, every time that Jon rejects her weird incestuous urges, she gets all pissy at Jon, and she's mad that like nobody loves her.
But why say like we're gonna rule together if that's ultimately where she's gonna be? You know,
because she's stupid and in love. Because she doesn't want. It's the love is the death of duty and duty is the death of love kind of thing that they're talking. Like when that's kind of one of the main points of the stories is like people do really, really stupid things for people that they love.
Okay.
And the way that like normally rational thinking people will just have a blind spot.
I feel like they're trying to make previous events though feel this new idea of like, oh well, it's all about love. Like that freaking word has been uttered so many times in this season, and even like when Tyrion summarizes Robert's rebellion as being about love, like that feels like an oversimplification to make it fit this narrative that they're now building on. I don't know. It feels unsatisfying to me.
No, I see what you're saying. And going back to the scene where Jon is talking to Dany, and he's kind of like, it seems like he's beating around the bush, right? Like he's saying, how do you know like what's good? What if other people think like what they know is good? And like, you could tell. I thought that scene was done very well. Like you could
Yeah.
tell he was working up to like, should I kill you?
Yeah.
Should I not kill you?
I wanted them to give Dany an opportunity to explain like directly her burning King's Landing, and they never did. All she's doing is sort of offering aphorisms and stuff. Like she never actually gives an explicit reason because the characters never ask her about it.
Aphorisms?
Like platitudes. Like she's just saying, well, you have to do this if you want this to work. But it's like a generalized statement instead of specifically justifying why she did this certain action.
Well, that was her justification.
But I mean, like, she gives the justification that, well, you know, we have to, I don't remember exactly what it is, but she says, like, we have to crush our enemies because otherwise they'll come back or whatever, something like that. But she never specifically says, this was the situation and this is what I did, why I did what I did. She just gives sort of philosophical justifications that don't fit the exact circumstances.
So what was the conclusion? Is she mad or is she not?
That's kind of the thing. It feels uncertain still to me.
See, I thought it felt pretty certain. Like, and I'm pretty sure they just spelled it out in the previous scene with Jon and Tyrion, like saying she's been treated like she was this essential god figure, which is what she became to some of these people, and she started to believe it, and she believed that she was the voice of reason and righteousness in this world, and it just went to her head, like obviously it does to people and real life people too,
then,
and
like,
you see it all the time.
Why specifically does she burn the city that has surrendered? I feel like that still doesn't have justification. Not really.
Because she sees anything from the past as representing this wheel that she's trying to break, and she knows that she can only break it with fear and blood and fire and blood, essentially. That's she's trying to live to her family names, and that's what Jon, that's part of the conversation with Jon and Tyrion. I think that conversation with Jon and Tyrion is probably the most important conversation, like
in this episode
of that part of the episode. Yeah.
Okay.
In terms of Jon's storyline, yeah, of this episode.
Was it me, or did I never really get the feeling before that Dany was trying to erase the past?
She was trying to remove the injustices of.
What I was saying was that specified before.
I might have worded it weirdly.
What you were saying just brought back the memory of watching the episode, and I think you're right that she was saying that the past needs to go. I thought that's what I got from it.
Yeah, like she's trying to break the wheel, but then we realize that breaking the wheel means like just making sure that there's everybody under one ruler, essentially.
It feels like she is being oversimplified in this, because I think that, you know, and obviously this is a criticism that exists a lot already, is that, you know, sure, she's always been taking things with fire and blood, but it has always been in the defense of some greater good, and that this slaughtering of an entire city doesn't seem to align with that. Even if she wants to break the wheel, she can still just kill Cersei and kill all the soldiers. Like, suddenly killing a bunch of, like, kids and innocent people doesn't seem to have developed naturally. And it feels to me like they wanted to make her into some unjustifiable villain, like, so that it is very obvious that she needs to go.
Her saying that the people, because Jon starts to talk about people, like, what if other people think that have different ideas of what is good, right? And then she says that they don't get to choose. Mm-hmm. That to me was very, very cold.
Yeah, that's exactly her character. Like that's the point that, like, they're trying to get, that she is led to believe that she is this righteous figure that can do no wrong and is fated to bring great things. And, like, if you walked into a fire with 3 dragons and came out, like, unburnt, and then, like, suddenly there's 3 dragons in the world, hell yeah, you're gonna, and then you keep winning and, like, killing everybody, hell yeah, you're going to think that
destiny,
that it's destiny. And that was what Tyrion is trying to say. And if you look at her character in that lens, that's exactly how she's acted this entire series, and I think it's pretty consistent.
But I mean, like, she would react so badly when innocent people would die in the past, like when the dragon kills some girl and she chains the dragons up. Like, that doesn't seem to align with that at all. Like, she has this idea of this as her destiny, and she has this within her, and it's her right, but she's still trying to like rule justly and protect the people in some way.
Well, she's never said she's trying to rule justly. She just wants to.
I thought so.
She just wants to end oppression. And if you look at the narrative that she uses, I thought it was very, very reminiscent. Not to get too real worldy, but I thought it was very kind of, hey, you want some democracy, especially if you have oil, kind of thing. I felt it was kind of like that kind of liberation that she's talking about, and it's very telling that she uses that kind of
thinking,
and that kind of language that has so historically been used by tyrannical figures that kind of want to take over things.
Yeah, instead of liberation, if you say freedom.
If you say you're going to liberate the people, that can mean whatever the hell you want. Because if you believe that your version of the world is right, then obviously it's liberation.
Right. So we're gonna go on to. John kisses and stabs Daddy.
Not in the way I would have liked. But,
I thought that he was going to use a long claw.
That would have been too dramatic.
Yeah, like he just...
For him, that's I had that. I was like,
in retrospect, I'm glad he didn't.
Pulls it out, and she's like, oh, okay. I don't know how I feel about the way he did it. It felt so slimy. I don't know.
Whoa. Hang on a second. Let's back up. I'm going to put a scratching record right there. First of all, Shawn was right. He stabbed her in the front.
Yes.
I would have thought that him stabbing her in the back would be slimier. But you think that him stabbing her in the front is slimy.
I think that him like making out with her and then stabbing her while they're doing that was not cool. You know?
But how is stabbing in the back better?
I mean, I'm fine with him stabbing. I thought he would have stabbed her in the back to mimic the old events more than anything else. And I agree that it makes sense that he would stab her in the front to be just. But I don't like the fact that he was making out with her and then he stabbed her. That doesn't seem like John to me at all. That seems like that seems more like Littlefinger. That's a Littlefinger.
That sounds like death is the duty of love, or what? What does it say? Love. What was the line that Tyrion made at the very end of his conversation?
He just flipped the original line, right?
So duty is the death of love, and that's
love is the death of duty.
No, that was the original one.
Yes.
That was Maester Aemon saying.
Right,
Tyrion was saying duty is the death of love, and as soon as I heard that, I'm like, it's definitely
because that's immediately implying like your love will be ended by your duty to kill her.
Yeah, like he realizes that he loves her, but he realizes also that it is the right thing, that she is not the person that is suited to be on the Iron Throne, or what's left of it now.
And I like that in that scene, she's telling him like about how sometimes you have to kill people. Like you can't offer small mercies in when you're trying to make the world a better place, and then he uses that logic.
I, on the other hand, thought it was fitting for him to kiss her and then kill her, and I think because he does love her in a way, whatever way that is. I'm not really sure.
Azor Ahai.
He does love her in a way, and it's kind of like it's gonna be an awful way to put it, but if you put your dog down, like. You put your dog down, like you don't want its final moments to be scared and whatever. You want to be with the dog. You want to be petting it, like Ghost was pet this episode.
We'll get there.
And that's kind of how I saw that scene. Like it was her final moments.
I feel like a dog is not a human. A human deserves to know that they're being killed.
I don't know. If you're being betrayed, would you want your last?
I want to know who's killing me. I don't want it to be a surprise.
Well, in the end, you will know. It's not like she was dead on impact. It's not like she was dead as soon. Like she knew that John betrayed him, but she did have those final moments of what she thought was happiness.
Yeah,
and I'm okay with that. Like I'm good with that scene. So
the throne melting. And
Drogon comes in. Oh, I thought it was so sad when Drogon started crying. It did hurt.
He had more of a reaction to her death than she did to
Rhaegal and Viserion. Yeah. But like I thought he's gonna burn John.
Yeah.
Like I thought for sure he was gonna.
No, they wouldn't
Why
kill Jon.
not?
I didn't think they were gonna. I never thought they were gonna do that. He's a Targaryen. He's not gonna. And they have Jon like meet him in the field before he walks into the castle, and Drogon doesn't do anything. So I wasn't worried about Jon in that.
I would have
moment.
been okay with Jon dying there. I'm sorry.
It would have. I wouldn't have put it past him, but I didn't think that's where he was gonna die.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, but I would have been okay with that. And then he melts. Drogon melts the Iron Throne. No more Iron Throne.
Why
No
though?
more
Why does
Iron-
Drogon melt the Iron Throne?
Why doesn't Drogon care? Yeah.
Why? I don't understand this. Like, does Drogon know about all the symbolism behind the throne?
No.
I
Like-
saw a meme that was like,
It was like, Drogon looks at the sword and he's like pointy, and then he looks at the throne and he says also pointy, and then he burns the throne.
I did not see that meme. It was more like Dany was talking to Drogon and she said, look, baby, if mommy gets killed, you burn the Iron Throne, because if I don't get to sit in it, nobody else does. And Drogon was like, okay, mom.
I don't understand the justification here.
Yeah, I didn't get it either. That didn't make much sense to me. What do you
I
think?
don't know. I agree, but I feel like that was something that George R. R. Martin that is George R. R. Martin written all over that scene.
Really?
Like that sounds something like exactly like something that he would put in his end.
Well, you would know. But if it's true and George R. R. Martin,
Well, I mean, mind you, the D&D had they sat down with George R. R. Martin and they went over the end with him. So this is his ending.
I guess
Sort
we'll
of,
just have to
maybe.
see. We'll have to see. I don't know.
But like I said earlier, it is his ending, but I think we're just seeing a skinnier version of his ending because
We're seeing
George R. R. Martin always
anorexic
likes
version
to.
of his ending.
He is the Mahler he is the Wagner of writing. Like you are sitting there for a while. These are some thick ass books.
Yeah. Then Drogon takes Dany, presumably.
Away.
Yeah.
Flies
And that's all we
east.
know.
I mean, I just thought because I think at the beginning of the series they say that the dragons come from lands far in the east, something like that, and that's what went through my head. Like, hey, maybe that's where he's going. Maybe that's where somebody on the Reddit said. They said I would be down for Drogon.
The Drogon miniseries.
Yeah, like a Drogon and Dany's corpse series, like a weekend at Bernie's type of thing.
Oh God.
I
No.
love that.
Oh, okay. So then the transition from this scene where Jon is left in the snow with the bloody spot and Drogon leaves to Tyrion being taken. I mean, to the Colosseum for the council meeting.
time
Talk
skip.
about tonal whiplash. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was first of all the snow, right, or the ash or whatever it may have been,
Yeah.
and then none of that.
See, that was what I got from that pause was obviously a large time lapse. So the effects from the Night King just dying, which I guess presumably was, we are assuming, the source of the winter because of later scenes.
Okay.
I'm assuming that that's starting to take an effect, and that's why the snow that was previously in King's Landing is no longer there.
I think it's very convenient that when they get to King's Landing, there's no snow, and it doesn't occur till after she burns the city.
To match with her vision from earlier seasons. Remember, I think there should have been maybe snow all along. That would have been because at the end of season 7,
You
when
can
Jaime
see the
leaves-
snow when Jamie's leaving, and then it's just summertime the next season in King's Landing.
I think they could have done a better job of showing that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Tyrion has always had a beard, but you could tell he was a little bit more raggedy.
Yeah,
That's when I could tell.
Yeah,
like,
that's like the time. I think they did a good job of like kind of saying there's been some. This has been a standoff for a little while.
it took me a while to figure it out. I mean, I thought, is that what that means? Like, I wasn't entirely sure, but it did take me a while. So I wouldn't say they did a great job, in my opinion. But it looks like weeks had passed from what we got from that conversation. And Jon has been taken prisoner, and they all know about Dany. And I mean, you would think maybe Jon would try to keep it a secret, but have you met Jon? He would not keep secrets.
Yeah.
And then Davos is talking to Torco Nudo, or is that how you say it?
Yeah, Torco Nudo or something. Nodo.
Grey
or something
Worm.
Like that. Yeah.
He's saying like no more war, like you know how this ends, and that's
Yeah.
very, very, Very true. Grey Worm is super mad. He really wants justice for his queen. Can't say I blame him, especially after all they've gone through. Like, he was liberated from a life of being a slave.
Yeah.
And then they're like, it's time to choose a leader. And
I loved Ed Muir.
Okay, wait.
Yeah, that was funny.
So Grey Worm has Tyrion and Jon.
Mm-hmm.
And then they say, well, in order to negotiate, you can't make the decision. There has to be a king. And Grey Worm just lets them select a king so that they can free Tyrion and Jon? Like, why does Grey Worm give them that ability? He has the control here. He has their prisoners.
He has the city.
But
why can't he just make the decision?
That's what Tyrion has done the entire series. He's weaseled his way out of his shit position by talking.
That was not effective weaseling. Grey Worm's just like, okay, fine, choose a queen. Like, he doesn't know. Like, Grey Worm's an idiot.
His insistency on talking, which is what Tyrion has done the entire series.
And that's another thing. Grey Worm snaps at him real hard the first time, and then he just starts talking again. And Grey Worm's like, okay, choose a king, fine, whatever.
I mean, it would have made sense if they killed him and Jon, like, pretty much on the spot. I don't want to say that's what I would do.
See, but that's the thing. They know if they were to do that, then they would be killed and they would be attacked by the Northmen. The Northern men. That's why Sansa is saying, like, if Jon Snow dies, you are not in a good position.
You know, if we're gonna talk details like this, they probably could have done that and then left. They had enough time. Like, nobody was on their way yet.
But I just don't understand why Grey Worm just didn't negotiate with all of the people that were there. Instead, he lets them do their, like, choosing a king thing, which just felt silly. And what I mean by tonal whiplash is then you have that comedy right after the death of Daenerys. Like,
Yeah,
there's so little time there. It feels...
And do you want to know what I'm going to say and that you are going to say that sounds completely bat? I think that just felt like pure Game of Thrones right there. Like, that life just moves on. After crazy fucking shit happens, life just moves on.
You have a way of looking at these things very positively. I actually admire that.
I try, like, when I...
Like, it's a nice spin on it.
Just the fact that it was comedy that followed it was weird to me. I felt like this could have been a more serious scene, and it wasn't.
If we look back to the first season, was there that kind of comedy all over the place? I mean, maybe with Tyrion, but that's to be expected.
It felt like a soap opera. Like, there were just these, like, these funny personalities playing off of each other, and it just, in such a serious and important scene,
I
right
really
after such a pivotal moment.
I mean, I see the funny moment of Ed Muir trying to be king, but I mean, if you've seen Ed Muir, that sounds like Ed Muir. But
it seemed like they were trying to copy Marvel. Marvel movies.
Oh,
just kind of like that kind of comedy. I don't know. I didn't hate it, but I was like, I could have done without it.
We'll get to more comedy
like
later.
I said, I think you're trying to nitpick and nitpick.
I don't know.
Nitpick.
I don't think this is a nitpick. I think that the problem is that these feel like really important events that are dictating, like, where the continent is going, and it's played for laughs more than anything else. And it continues to be played for laughs as the episode goes on.
Yeah, as that scene goes on, because Yeston, you had made a joke that they're gonna come up with the first democracy of Westeros, and then Sam is like, maybe. But then, like, they're all like, why doesn't my horse get a vote? And blah blah blah. He just gets laughed out of there. So then
Sam has a water bottle. Should we mention that?
Oh my god! Did you see that? Did you see the water bottle?
No, I didn't. I heard about that though. Like, that is the one thing I heard about.
Yeah,
I'll have to look for it. But it'll probably be edited out by the time I watch it again.
Attention to detail, man. Like, it feels... I know there were mistakes before, but there's so many mistakes. Did you see all the shots of Dany riding Drogon and King's Landing, and she's just not there? Like, they forgot to add her onto Drogon. They forgot to animate her on. It just, I don't know.
There was something yesterday that you mentioned to me as to show that there's not as much attention to detail this season as there has been in the past, and that's when Olenna, is it Olenna?
Olenna Tyrell, when she poisons Joffrey, you can actually see her, like, I think she gets the poison from Sansa's necklace, like that's where she's holding it, and then she pours it into his wine, and you can actually see that happen, but in the background, and you have to, like, be paying attention, and, like, that attention to detail. Same with the way that they load the crossbow that Joffrey used, and then that Tyrion uses. They have to use, like, a tool to load it, and it's like a big thing, like loading a musket, but then Bronn just reloads it instantaneously because they wanted the cool scene with him and Tyrion and Jaime. Like that combined with all of the other stuff, like that lack of attention to detail just feels like they're not caring as much.
And it could be argued that because of the mass scale of these things that, I mean, maybe that's why these oversights have happened.
But there's not a mass scale anymore. There's like basically one group of characters. There used to be a mass scale when there were all these different groups all over the continent, but that's not even the case anymore.
I meant like the mass production scale.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's probably a lot to coordinate. Anyway, to move on, I was wondering, why would anyone ask Tyrion who should rule if he's a prisoner? That's that part kind of, it was like, why are you asking the small man in chains? You know?
Especially with how wrong Tyrion has been recently, it feels weird that they would give him that responsibility.
Anything to add?
No.
Okay. You agree?
No, but I mean, I'm not going to exhaust effort where I feel like I'm not going to get something in return that would be satisfying.
Oh, Shawn, this is not like you. Then Tyrion goes, it kind of surprised me, and at the same time not, because I did read the leaks that Tyrion named Bran the Broken, or he proposed that Bran should be king. I was like, why? Why? What has Bran done all season? Not much. I mean, nothing came out of his warging during the long night. And then suddenly Bran is like, why do you think I'm here? But he's supposed to be the three-eyed raven who doesn't want, or who doesn't... I didn't understand the Bran choice, to be honest with you.
Exactly. He doesn't want, but he has to.
But he's this mythical mystical creature now, that it just seems like that they shouldn't be placed in a position to rule over man. No?
I don't know. I think I don't know. To me, it feels like the natural thing that would happen. Like I don't know. Like I see the like I watched this show and I like watch what happened. Like we're watching the same thing, and like based on the previous episodes and all the information that we have, I don't know. It all feels normal to me.
I can see Tyrion proposing that Bran's king. But why does everyone vote for him? Like, most of these people don't really know who or what he is. It seems like everyone has just accepted this mystical thing as being the reality. That, to me, is what feels weird. The justification behind them all voting for him.
I don't know what there is to say about that, because to me, it's kind of a shocking thing. Like, I never once saw this coming before I read the leaks. And I can't find a way to justify it in my head. If it's someone that doesn't want to rule, I mean... I know that Jon is probably out of the picture because he killed Dany, but should he be because he killed Dany after she slaughtered everyone? I mean, to me, it just felt a little bit wrong. And I will say the word this one time, it felt subversive. What I got from that scene is that Westeros is now a republic, because it's the lords of Westeros that choose
an
a ruler.
elective monarchy.
Is that not a republic?
No, it's a different thing. It's an elective monarchy. There's a different form of... From what I got from the conversation, it was that rulers rule until death, and then when they die, they vote for the next king, or the lords do. The lords and ladies of Westeros vote for a new king, and so Poland had a system similar to that. I know.
I didn't know enough about those electoral systems, but okay. So then Sansa, she speaks for the North, and suddenly the North is its separate kingdom.
Yeah, I like that.
I like that too. Bran is the, what is it?
King of the six kingdoms.
The protector of the six kingdoms, which doesn't have the same ring to it, but it's cool. I prefer that the North be its own kingdom. What was it? There was this joke, may he roll forever.
Oh, God. Jesus.
Oh, that's a good one. I need more wine after that one.
I still thought Tyrion should not be announcing, and then all of a sudden Bran is like, Tyrion, you are the hand. Now at first I was like, really? Honestly? Then, and I'm still a little bit like that, but the way that Bran justified it, I could get behind. Like, he now has to clean up everything. It still seems like it's a lot of power for someone that did so much messed up stuff, or that got so much wrong.
I don't know. The only time he did things right was when he was hand of the seven kingdom. Well, now six. But when he was in Westeros. But when he was out of there, that was the only time he started fucking up.
I can see that too. So maybe it is the right choice. Mm-hmm. Just it seemed like the right choice at the wrong time. Jon goes to the Night's Watch. talk about circles like Jamie's character. Okay.
Started from the bottom. Now we
Are back.
at the bottom.
What do you think about that? Yes,
This dude was brought back to life for a reason. What was the reason?
to kill Danny.
But wasn't the whole thing about her burning King's Landing that John didn't show her love? So he wasn't there in the. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm glad that because I was thinking like, what are the Night's Watch gonna do now? Like they're not at war with the wildlings, and I was like, he's gonna get there, and they're just gonna be hanging out, and then he gets there, and it's a bunch of wildlings, and he's gonna go be king of the
North.
the
Beyond
north.
the north.
Of
Yeah.
the north.
Yeah.
I thought, why were the wildlings still hanging out at the Castle Black or wherever they were? I mean, it seemed like they were just waiting.
To
for
me,
him.
it didn't make any sense that the wildlings would want to go north to this inhospitable place, even after the Night King is gone. But they do show that there's greenery growing there now. So presumably now that the Night King is gone, it's going to start getting more.
And I did right, wasn't it winter? But I guess if it's explained by the Night King not being there anymore and him not being the source of the winter, that makes sense.
Yeah, George R. R. Martin said that by the end of the story that the reason for the wonky seasons would be explained, and I guess now that is it. I imagine the books. Well, obviously. We can say a lot of things about the books that don't exist.
Isn't the last book called something about spring?
A Dream of Spring. Yeah. And the one that is still to come out is the Winds of Winter.
Yeah.
Mind you, we still have 2 books that have yet to come out.
Oh boy. Okay. Then the Unsullied go to Noth.
Yeah.
And I guess it's going to be a My Sunday burial.
Yeah, you can see that.
Why does everyone keep saying My Sunday?
Just because it's a joke now.
I like that one.
That's a good joke.
My Sunday.
I always said Me Sunday.
Yeah. I mean, that's how the character's name is.
It's gonna
but
be-
the meme is funny.
Yeah. I could just imagine all these people, these Game of Thrones fans, buying ice cream and dropping it and be like, "My Sunday."
All right, then I put Arya is Christopher Columbus. She's gonna discover
That's why
North
they call
America.
That's why they call her Arya.
He read that joke to me. He was looking at the Reddit. Sean is leaving. Oh, you took a couple more steps than I expected, Sean. You subverted my expectations.
You're okay, Sean. I'm sorry. When okay, because I know it happened before where she's talking about like what's west of Westeros. When was that? I don't remember.
I don't remember, but I do remember her saying that. Oh, yeah. After she gets, what wasn't it? It wasn't after she gets stabbed in Bravos, and she's being treated by the woman that she saved.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Well, where will you go?" When she said she's gonna leave, she's like, "Maybe west." And she's, "What's west of Westeros?"
No one knows. That's where all the maps end.
And that's where I'll go.
Is that what she said?
Yeah, something like. And there is in the books there is another reference to someone, another historical figure within the lore that went west of Westeros and supposedly found something.
North America.
Yeah.
So then Brienne sees the Barristan Selmy page. That is to me it was very cool.
Yeah.
Because Sean, you told me, because I didn't know about this, but a while back you told me the Barristan Selmy was this badass knight.
Oh yeah.
That he was just the best knight in all the 7 kingdoms. And I mean, we could talk about how he shouldn't have died the way he died back 3 or 4 seasons ago. But I liked seeing that because I like the idea of him being this. I like the actor himself, and I like the idea of him being remembered this way. But I mean, that was the main point of that scene. The main point was that Brienne was going to finish Jaime's page. And I mean, was that okay with you guys? The way that she closed it out before the ink dried?
I felt very yes. I felt so uncomfortable. I was like, no, you got to let it dry. You can't just close it. It's going to smear.
Yeah.
That legitimately, I was like, oh, you're ruining the book. I do like that she filled that out, and then she ended it with he died defending his queen or something like that. That was
big of her.
Even though he
intended.
betrayed her and went back to Cersei.
That's what I mean. That was big of her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That fits her character, I will say. She's not one to hold grudges, and she's very honorable.
Yeah.
I like her armor.
Better
Yeah,
than
the
Sansa's
new
The golden armor.
The new Kingsguard armor.
Oh, that's right. That she is that. That's cool. I like where she ended up.
Yeah.
And then Tyrion is back at the table.
I like that little scene of him
He's adjusting
straightening the chairs.
Yeah.
But I thought, like, shouldn't everything be destroyed? But I guess it's been weeks and they've had a chance to rebuild.
Yeah, it seems like there's been some time. Like it wasn't. It felt like there's a time. Wasn't there another like blank screen like time skip
Something like
ish thingy?
I guess because John made it to the wall by that
Yeah.
point. And that takes a long time.
Yeah.
Unless they teleport it again.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Not everyone's as powerful as Euron. So,
Boats, man.
Yeah. Boats on land.
Boats and hoes.
So then Bronn, Sam, and Sir Davos are the new council. I saw somebody commenting. So, you know, John isn't allowed to have a wife and whatever because he's now part of the Night's Watch again. But Sam has a wife. And he is the maester who's also not supposed to have a wife.
Yeah.
So they just don't give a fuck.
Yeah, Sam does whatever the fuck he wants.
Because he wrote
a song of ice and
he didn't
fire.
Write it.
I'm glad
Sam
he
did
didn't
not
write it. I'm glad he didn't write it.
Right,
I
he
felt
didn't
that
write
would
it.
have been cheesier, like if he had started to write down the story. What should I call it? A song of ice and fire. I think that
Exactly
would
what
have been.
Sam sounds like.
I think they pulled the non-cheesy version of that. It was still in there, but it wasn't.
Who did write it? They mentioned. I don't remember.
Archmaester Ebros.
Okay.
Damn, Sean. I was watching this with my girlfriend. Sort of. She was just kind of on her phone next to me because I haven't watched the rest of it with her. But she was just next to me. And like as soon as I saw the Song of Ice and Fire thing, I paused it. And I like screamed into the pillow. I was like, no. And then like she turned to me and she was like, what happened? And I said, well, we were joking the whole podcast that they're not going to close it out with that. Technically, I guess that wasn't the last scene.
No.
But I mean, you could kind of say that is a conclusion of this, right?
I figured that would be in there somewhere, but I didn't think it would be the ending.
No, but you were right. And the thing that I told her, because like then she was like,
well, I mean the end, like the end scene. You know what I mean?
Right. But then she asked me, so did you guys just come up with that? Like just a Song of Ice and Fire? Like that's what you thought they were going to call it out of nowhere? And I was like, no, that is the name of the series of the books. Her first reaction was like, oh, that's terrible. That's just from someone that knows nothing about this series. And that was her first reaction. So
what a funny anecdote.
I like it. I'm gonna leave it in here, Sean.
I'm sure.
I thought it would be funny if when Tyrion finds out that he wasn't in it, if he said, "Well, I guess you miss out on things when you rush the production." Something like that.
That would have been hilarious. But breaking, like, they should have just broken the fourth wall the whole way through, I think.
I don't think it broke the fourth wall.
No, I mean it didn't. It was. I do think it was cheesy. Yeah.
I mean, the Song of Ice and Fire, that does kind of break the fourth wall.
They do the same. No, I mean they could have titled it. It doesn't break the fourth wall. They do the same thing in The Hobbit.
Yeah. And I mean, it's the same thing like when you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. That's Game of Thrones. Like it's no, I don't think it's any more cheesy than any other series that has had like its title within the show.
Suicide Squad. Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh God.
So I guess we're some kind of.
We're not talking about that. This.
I don't think this is the worst offender. Like I don't. I think when a show or something does it, like they either got to do it like to a point where it doesn't distract you, or to a point where, or otherwise it's gonna be like just obscene. And I don't think that was too distracting.
No, it definitely wasn't. It wasn't too bad. I thought it was a joke at first. Seriously, I thought it was gonna be more of a joke, like in this podcast, but I guess not.
No.
But anyway, did you guys have anything else to add about
This
that?
scene also felt soap opera-y and too comedic. It was like, you guys are supposed to be running King's Landing and this is being played. Your conflicting nature is being played for laughs. I don't know.
See, I thought that was the another scene that made it feel like regular Game of Thrones. Like this was the essence of the show. Like this is like what the show is about to me. Like I don't know why it just felt.
I think I'd have to rewatch it because I couldn't tell you. It's been so long since I watched everything else. So I don't really have the essence, fresh in my mind. because the show obviously has evolved like any other show would.
Yeah.
I do remember I wanted to say though, I thought when they, when Tyrion was saying, so what did they write about me, blah blah blah, I thought maybe Sam was going to say something like, well, they described you as really, really ugly, and like the way that George R. R. Martin has mentioned that Tyrion is or what's his name? Well, not Tyrion, the actor's name.
Peter Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage. He said like Peter Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage.
Is that a video?
Yes. Have you not?
No.
Okay, that's my Off the Thrones. That's my secondary one. Because if you have not seen that video, that is the.
That's just something we will link.
Yes,
because you can
that
have an
is.
Off the Throne
Yeah.
beyond that, but yeah, because George R. R. Martin has said that Peter Dinklage is a very good-looking man and does not fit the description of Tyrion, other than his looks. I mean, except for his looks. Sorry, yeah, that makes sense. So just basically, he embodies the character, but he does not look like the character because he's better looking. So anyway, Bran mentions Drogon for no reason.
Yeah.
Why? No reason? I guess.
That he exists.
Bran seems weirdly smug.
Like, you have a theory?
I think he might still be the Night King.
'Cause the
We
Night-
never saw that he isn't.
The Night King was
Dear God, we don't know if
smug
there is.
Drink
too.
more, clearly.
When Danny blasts the Night King and he's just like, you can't kill me. That was smug too. And then he wants to kill Bran in person.
Okay.
I don't know. What if the Night King really is ruling Westeros now?
Yeah, that was a thought of mine. And especially because I was like, oh, what if that explains why do you think I came all the way down here? The line from earlier.
Right.
But I mean,
What if it was recontextualized
Tinfoil hat.
and you see Bran with blue eyes and then that line like,
and he is wearing like a dark blue,
He's
like
dressed like
Dublé
Cersei.
in that scene. He's like wearing blue clothes.
that would have been so much more interesting.
Oh, we definitely
bum.
we definitely need tinfoil hats for this
Yeah,
episode.
we really do.
Great.
Go on.
But I mean, I don't think it needed a purpose. Like, that's the thing. I've always felt like the thread of Game of Thrones, like the reason that I felt like this felt like pure Game of Thrones is because like it's not necessarily, things don't necessarily play out for the story. The events that play out are the story, whether you're like you like them or not. Like the world moves on without you and without the story.
So you don't think it was a throwaway line?
I mean, I don't think that they're going to make another series and you're going to follow up on it. I think it's just kind of like the world moves on, these people move on. Like not everybody who does great things and is destined to be the king will be the king in the end. It's just sometimes things don't work out this way. You just live your life and you try, like all these characters continue like to live their lives to their beliefs, and the ones that are living at the end aren't necessarily the ones that had better beliefs. They're just the ones
That survived.
Yeah.
Just like not everything has to go
Yeah,
somewhere. I can see that.
There's still
Sort of.
them, like things that you think are like really important just sometimes aren't, and you find out that in life. And like, do you like? I can only like the list of things that we all thought were like important Chekhov's guns in this series,
Like the crossbow.
yeah, or
Nothing
the
happened with
crossbow, or like the horn. I mean, that's kind of in the books. The
What
horn
horn?
that's supposed to bring down the wall.
Mm.
It was like this wildling thing that is supposed to be this great artifact, and
Everyone was saying that no one's getting a happy ending, but everyone totally got happy endings in this episode. Everyone that lived. I mean, Jon got a happy ending even though he was banished, and the Unsullied get to go live off on their own space, and Tyrion gets to live in his new comedy show, The Small Council, and Bran gets to be the smug king, and Brienne is this nice knight now.
Sansa's queen in the north.
Sansa's queen in the north.
Ghost
it feels
got
like
his pets.
Ghost got his pets. It all worked out pretty well for everyone.
In a way, that's like I thought, hey, that's like a contrast from the way that the Stark children have been, their stories had played out for the whole season, because they've all been separated, they've all gone through traumatic events, and I guess at the end they did get a happy ending, which not everyone's going to agree that that's very Game of Thronesy.
I mean, you could argue it was a happy ending. I don't really see it as necessarily happy or unhappy. I feel like it fits. Like, I feel like this is like just witnessing this end and everything that happened. We never really kind of discussed like the things that I'm realizing. We kind of just started talking about them. But I mean, like, Sansa being the queen in the north at the end, Jon going off, Arya sailing to west of Westeros. All this, like, it kind of feels natural, and it feels what I didn't. It feels like I didn't. How do I say this?
With less wine.
Yeah, clearly, clearly with less wine.
I can cut out the silence.
What was I saying?
Jesus, don't cut any of this out. just this all stays in.
Okay, well, I mean, we got to the end of the episode. I know, Shawn, maybe you wanted to talk about some of the things like Sansa.
I remember what I was saying. Yes. To me, it feels like the right ending that I didn't expect without a LOL subversion kind of thing. It just felt natural, and like that this is where they'd move on to, I guess. And that's the story.
Given how the story played out, I agree. And I'm not saying I didn't have problems with how the story played out itself, but just the way that it all ended up right up till the end, this did seem like a logical conclusion for the characters.
Mm-hmm.
So I do agree with that. Yeston, any thoughts? Are you falling asleep again?
No. I'm very conscious and very aware of your conversation.
To that.
You know, of course, I think just going back to the fact that everyone seems to get a happy end. Of course, not everyone, right? But the characters that ended up living to the end all got a happy ending. And an ending that to me felt like it was played too jovially for the show that it was in. And it felt like they were sort of pandering. Like they even have Tyrion like, well, I once took a goat and a honeycomb into a brothel.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, all right, guys, like, maybe stop pandering to these older seasons.
I think that and, okay, I forgot to say my favorite scene. Definitely Jon petting Ghost. I will admit that is the biggest amount of fan service that I think this episode had, in my opinion.
Okay, can I read you guys something?
I guess. I don't think we have.
We can't stop you.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
All right. Tyrion walks into a brothel with a honeycomb and a jackass. Madam says, "What can we do for you?" Tyrion says, "I need a woman to lay with, for mine has left me." Madam says, "Whatever for? And what's with the honeycomb and the mule?" Tyrion says, "My woman found a genie in a bottle, and he granted her 3 wishes. The first was for a house fit for a queen, so he gave her this damn honeycomb. The second wish was that she have the nicest ass in the land, so he gave her this damn donkey." Madam says, "What about the third wish?" Tyrion said, "Well, she asked the genie to make my cock hang down past my knee." Madam says, "Well, that one's not so bad, eh?" "Not so bad. I used to be 6'3".
That's a good one. And
someone on Reddit posted
good.
that.
That's real good.
I saw Levin_Brown post that, but I think he was quoting it from somebody else.
That's funny. I wonder who wrote that. Like, yeah. I wonder if that's like something that's been passed around, because that's been passed around, because that's an older reference. That was in season 2, and that was in season
was that
4 or 5.
By the writers?
No, that was in the Game of... Both of the first 2 references, I think, were in the books.
Okay.
And I think there might have been more, actually, in the books.
Right.
Maybe 1 or 2, if I might be wrong. But no, that was something that...
I would have loved to have heard the end of that joke.
I was hoping, but I felt like that would have been too pandery. I felt like that would have been almost a little too cheesy. If like... It would have been funny, but I think that would have been more pandery and more fan servicey than Jon petting Ghost.
I would be good with like a little clip, just maybe on HBO where just Tyrion tells the joke like to completion. But that closes me out. There's nothing to speculate on.
I know. Nothing to speculate on.
We can put away our tinfoil hats. And did you guys have any closing thoughts on the series? Or on the season?
Yeah. Well, I thought just the season. Why don't you two start?
Okay. My biggest upset, and it changed like almost every episode, was Bran becoming the king. That to me did not fit with what he had been built up to be. All in all, the spectacle was very enjoyable. I really, really liked the scenes, the way it was shot. It did keep you on your toes, like for the action sequences, and the CGI was pretty beautiful. Like setting aside the attention to detail that maybe was overlooked, like the Starbucks cup and the water bottle. The Starbucks cup at least shall live down as one of the greatest Game of Thrones memes that has ever happened.
Oh, yeah.
I hope the water bottle goes up there, but I don't think it'll quite get there because it wasn't noticed by that many people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't the first.
Yeah,
exactly.
it wasn't the first.
Which, again, is like, kind of says something about the production, but my favorite part about this whole thing had to have been the music. Like, Ramin Djawadi, his combination, because like
that's kind of more of a general series thing.
Yeah, but just specifically for this episode, or not for this episode, but for this
season. But I wanted to talk about that next episode
for the music.
Yeah, no, I'm just playing.
God damn it, Shawn. No, but the way that he combined the Lannister theme and the Light of the Seven theme, like. That was like the most blowing my mind type of thing because like you grow up with this. I would say I'd say it's fair to say that you grow up with this series and you grow up hearing the music. I know I listen to the music a lot, even when I wasn't watching the show, and just hearing it combined so beautifully just gave me goosebumps. And it's been quite a ride.
Yeah, I'd like to say on just the music alone that Ramin. I'm saying that right. Ramin Djawadi.
I think it's Ramin.
Ramin Djawadi.
Ramen.
I feel stupid now.
It's like you said all these like
we might be wrong. Like I don't know.
I find it just really incredible how he's able to use motifs so well in a show that does lend itself well to motifs, but I think he nailed it straight on the nail. Yeah, you can tell. You can tell. I finished my wine. I think he hit it straight on the nail with the way he uses these themes and he's built them.
Yeah.
Similar to the way that Wagner uses his leitmotifs, and similar to the way that John Williams, you see him using his motifs in music.
No, it was inspiring to me for sure.
Yeah.
Like
you can
people.
tell you can tell good soundtrack writers when you hear it because you actually notice.
Exactly.
And you don't notice for bad reasons, because those are the only other times you notice soundtracks in movies.
Right.
When it's really bad or when it's really good. So it's good it's good.
All right. So, Yeston, because Shawn wants to go last. I think he wants to end this on a positive note.
So, I have started reading the books. Wait, can I?
Oh, that's a satisfying sound. It gets thicker as they go on.
I know this is the thinnest one. I started reading the books. I just barely started today. And the main reason is that if someone offered me a piece of meat and I said, why, sure, thank you. And then they handed me a bone with no meat on it, and I had to bite into the bone and chew the bone and thank them for it, I would be very disappointed. So
don't do it. Don't do it, because what you're going to do, you're going to burn through all of them, and then you're going to realize I don't even get a bone after this. I don't get jack.
I'm hoping
At least
that
the show watchers got to finish their
that
meal.
this will eventually be my meat, and then I can beat my meat to the meat.
Jesus.
Oh yeah,
But
you are
maybe
going to
not.
beat your meat to that.
Maybe not. I don't know. But this is why I've started. Like, if anything, even if people dislike the show, like it's sold more books because of that.
I've never seen this moniker. If you cannot see through the microphone, it's a very nice leather-bound copy of the first Game of Thrones book. or the first Song of Ice and Fire book entitled A Game of Thrones.
Right.
George R. R. Martin, he has the double R in his middle name, like all fantasy writers must. And he has a very cool sword icon going through the center of it, through the two R's that are kind of back to back. I think J.R.R. Tolkien did the same thing with the two R's.
Yes, then you have committed.
What? I know. I have
to reading.
I have all 5 of them. They're supposed to. Hopefully, hopefully the 7 will come out, and it'll match the 7 kingdoms.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not, but who knows?
Yeah. I want to talk more about the books next episode.
Oh boy. I will get my arguments ready for next episode.
Oh no.
I don't want to be like wanking over, oh, the books are better kind of thing. But I do want to talk more about the books since we're talking about like more series thing next episode.
So yes, and that wasn't quite like about the.
It totally was.
Okay.
I was given a dry bone that I bit into, but
that
it was unsatisfying. It was my metaphor.
Okay, got it. So was that it for you?
Yeah.
All right, Shawn, go for it.
All right. So my thoughts on season 8. You know, I definitely think that we got the best season that we could have gotten given the circumstances that we were in. Meaning, we don't have an actual book to base this off. So HBO and the show writers just went with what they knew. And what they knew, it was a different flavor of Game of Thrones than we are used to. I do think they're very valid criticisms. Like this isn't like just something that's out of the water or out of the blue. Like, oh, why would you ever? This is the same show. Like, there is a tonal shift. And actually, I want to pull up an article that I read. I think it was by Scientific American. No, I think that I'm thinking of a different article. Then also that Scientific American sounds way too.
I was going to say, why you have highbrow sources here?
No, it is Scientific American.
Oh, God damn it.
They're saying this is a really nice article that I enjoyed, and I agreed with a lot of the points in it. They're saying that the show takes a turn from what does this guy put it? From sociological storytelling to psychological storytelling. So, as in the earlier the parts that we have the books for, that George R. R. Martin has fleshed out for us, his storytelling is based on essentially George R. R. Martin is his characters behave in the way focused around on the settings around them, and Hollywood that's not the way Hollywood tells stories, because just the medium like film, it's harder to do through film than it is through book. And I think that they found for the most part, this is still talking broadly. I hate, but I think for the most part that they did a very good job of capturing the essence of that. But it's a noticeable tone change. But I don't think that tone change overall changes from the tone of the plot, only from the tone of the shots. I feel of the filmmaking,
of the interactions,
the way they film the interactions of the character.
Okay, is that your closing statement?
Yeah, I think yeah. So I think it's overall good, but I think it's very justified for fans to demand more, because we can always demand the best out of everything without being douchebags.
On that note, I wanted to bring up the fact that petition that's been going around. I'm kind of surprised it's like 1.2 million.
Yeah.
1.2 million signatures.
That's a lot of counts.
It's a lot of chickens. That was a joke about the hand. I saw this meme that was like, it is childish, but it's about chaos, and chaos is a ladder. And I just thought that was very funny.
I was actually thinking about this. This reminds me of I don't know why I was reminded. This reminds me of the scene in season 4 where Tyrion turns to the crowd that's all turned on him, and he's like, "I should have poisoned you when I had the chance."
Ooh.
And like they don't realize like.
Well, I mean, they poisoned us at the end. So.
Yeah, if you want to think that way, you can think that way. Then.
All right, I think it's time for any other closing statements, guys.
I think this was our shortest episode, in less than an hour and a half.
Yeah, although that's a full-length Memorycast episode, though.
Jesus.
Sorry, I didn't have time to turn away from the mic for that one. Usually I do. My apologies to the listeners whose
I always leave them in.
sensitivities who have been harmed.
Yeah, they're offended. Okay, so for Off the Throne, I'm going to recommend a video by Trope Anatomy called "Foreshadowing is Not Character Development." I shared this video with you guys on the group chat, and I think it makes some very valid points without being as toxic as my last recommendation. Yeah. So that's it for me.
Well, you're not even going to mention what it's about?
What?
It's just a justification of the criticism of Daenerys suddenly turning in the way that she did, and sort of a
as
look.
in the lack of justification.
Yeah.
Personally, I think the video gets a little nitpicky in some parts, but I do think it's a very coherent and good argument.
I was looking through my YouTube feed, and there's already so many videos talking about they call it analysis and review and critique of the season finale of Game of Thrones.
You mean all the people trying to get viewerships right after the bandwagon?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it takes way more time to put an analysis together.
I did not see as many Game of Thrones videos. I mean, obviously, if you can get paid for it, then put out Game of Thrones content when it's relevant, guys. That seems.
What do you think we're doing this for?
Yeah,
that's true. We're hypocrites.
But I mean,
it's okay, Shawn. We're good. So anyway,
is it my turn now?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. I want to put forth. This is from the same ensemble that did previous things that I recommended. It is the same low brass ensemble doing a wonderful cover of Jenny of Old Stones. And it has this beautiful tuba solo at the very beginning.
Tuba.
Hell yeah. Dedicated this whole arrangement of the Jenny of Old Stones, which I think, side note, I think is a very good
song.
Yeah.
It's
I think both this one and Reigns of Castamere, the two in series songs that they really kind of spent more time on. I think they did well.
Because they really can't. I mean, I know that it's in the books, the Reigns of Castamere and stuff, but you can't show a song and a melody via books. So this was really great. I agree. 100%.
And it could write sheet music in the book.
But not everyone can read it. It's not as accessible.
It takes a really talented composer, like the person who did Misty Mountains in The Hobbit. Like
that was a great one.
That's a great one too. Like these great in-universe songs that really fit. Like exactly. I can really appreciate that. So the tuba solo at the very beginning of this cover of Jenny of Old Stones is dedicated to in the memory of Sam Palafian, who is a really prolific tuba player that just passed away recently, who did a lot to further the pedagogy of the instrument, and I think it's a very good cover of a very good song.
Yeah, spoken like a true tubaist.
Yeah.
Tubist.
Do you say tubist or tubaist?
I believe the proper term...
Tuber.
It's
a tuber.
It's tubist.
Oh.
So
unfortunately.
You can't be a YouTuber.
No.
It's a terrible joke. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Okay, so I forgot that we had this whole section where we recommend things. So I'm going to recommend something that everyone has seen. But if you haven't, then you need to go watch it. And it's called Sesame Street, Respect is Coming.
Oh, yeah.
And It's Elmo and Tyrion and Cersei, and Elmo's trying to teach them how to forgive. And
I think that's what we all need.
I think with more wine we could.
I don't know. Some people get angry when they drink more.
Yeah, if you get angry, just smoke some weed. That'll probably do you better.
Out. You do both.
Can you imagine if they had weed in Game of Thrones?
That'd be interesting because, like,
imagine Jon Snow like super high. We should have a separate podcast,
like
where we speculate about how like each different character's highs.
Well, this is going really off the deep end.
No.
But I wonder what it'd be like to see a fantasy world where the trope isn't alcohol but it's weed.
We should have a podcast where we retell the whole Game of Thrones story, but as if everyone was high the whole time. I think this is a good idea.
That would make sense for some of Tyrion's later choices.
Oof.
All right, can I play my final additional off the throne? This is the Peter Dinklage Game of Thrones theme. I think this is the right. Thank you, YouTube ad.
I know.
This is why I watch YouTube on my computer where I don't have ads.
I have YouTube Premium. How old is this video?
Oh, it's pretty old.
Oh, they should have said Peter Dinklage.
I mean, the prosody.
Not everyone is a musical
yeah.
genius, Arturo. Respect the intentions, brah.
The prosody isn't what I'd compose, but
Yeah.
I think it's a worthy meme. So yeah.
Okay, so for next week we will have some kind of argument and defense and stuff. And I'm actually gonna write some stuff down and bring it here. Maybe I'll be the one leading it, and you guys can kind of either agree or.
Sean is giving a
or
look
defend.
of like intense trepidation, is what I would describe it as.
Yeah, Sean, do you feel trepidant?
I feel like I'm probably not going to actually write something.
That's okay.
But I mean, I usually think about what I'm going to say, like before every episode.
Sean,
I think about this quite a bit.
Sean is smart enough. He doesn't need to write stuff down, okay?
well,
it's all in his head.
I've contemplated it.
Okay.
Whatever's coming out is a good
Representation.
Good representation of my thoughts, but my thoughts can be changed with evidence
And wine.
and wine.
Oh well, here's hoping I have enough of those next time.
We got sake.
Yeah, well, that doesn't fit with the
Yeah.
world, Yeston.
But the world's over now.
No,
Oh.
Don't tell that.
Do
to
they have
Sean.
sake in Essos?
Ooh.
I don't know. They didn't really talk about much of the alcohol. Did they say they mentioned rum? Didn't they? I don't know.
They did mention rum when Davos
Pirates.
is with like the pirates.
Yeah, I thought
You know
so.
what we should have is mead.
Mead.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Mead's really good.
I mean, good.
Or ale.
Ale's good too. I got some ale.
Ooh. We'll bring a plethora of things. All right, I'm gonna close this out.
All right. Good night.
So he does need to go potty.
I'm bringing my phone too so I can look at memes.
I'm gonna get plastered before we start then.
Oh, you can't until we clink. You heretic. What the is wrong?
All right, I didn't drink any. I
Yeah,
spit it back.
I saw. Count still. You're good.
Are we recording, by the way?
Yeah, so put on your headphones.
If I say anything, it's going to be recorded for posterity.
Unless I edit it out.
I want to let people know.
I'm gonna edit this out.
I want to let people know that whenever I pee now,
This is gonna be good. I already know.
whenever I pee now, I check to make sure that I haven't spittled on the toilet seat a little because I pee sitting down, right? But one time I got up and there was still a little dribbling coming out, and then my brother went in to use the bathroom afterward, and he was like, "See, Justin, yes, not just me, you peed on the seat." I was like, "No!" So now I'm.
This is relevant.
Thank you for sharing that bit of information.
I just was thinking
with all
about.
of
I was
us.
just.
You have to grab the gooch and push up. and make sure that it.
I do not enjoy the gooch pushing sensation. I'm doing it right now. It's a motion, and you can't see. I understand the gooch, but Shawn looks very.
Hey, look, Shawn was making some dirty jokes before you came here, because I don't know why he's acting all high and mighty right now.
I hope that's not what it's gonna be.
It might just be at the end.